Welcome. So great to be here with you today. We are talking about something um, somewhat related, but a little different take. Which inner persona is sabotaging your life and what to do? So, when that feeling of not being enough pops up, and it can have many faces, all of them tend to keep us stuck. Have you ever been in a situation where you were plagued with thoughts that others know so much more than you, and that the risk was high of people might find out? Or even though you did an excellent job, you couldn't even appreciate it, never mind take it in? And then there are all the shoulds. It should be perfect the first time. I should know everything about this. I should be able to do it all, right? Many people hold themselves to an unrealistic and unsustainable standard of success. I mean, who can relate? And when we don't meet these unrealistic standards, it can feel bad. It can feel like shame, actually. But something interesting has come through the research of Dr. Valerie Young, revealing that failure related shame is different for different people. And that's what I thought was so fascinating to talk about today, because each one each one of us has that critic's voice that comes in and almost acts like an inner saboteur. But when we know what it is, we can identify it. Wow, that opens up all kinds of possibilities. When we don't define competence, being good enough in the same way, it's unique for all of us. So by adjusting our beliefs about what it takes to be competent, that's when we break free. So let's look at how these obstacles may show up for you and what to do about them. I personally will go through all these things, but I find myself straddling between two categories. I hate to admit it, but it's still there: perfectionism and superwoman. You know, Gosh, the idea of having to do it all, carry it all, and do it flawlessly. Whoa, I'm ready to let that go. I don't know about you. So we are all works in process, in progress, and becoming more aware gives us options. So let's go through them, and I want you to look at which one you are more like. We're going to go through 5. And also, I'm going to give you strategies to handle each one. So the first is the perfectionist. So if you feel like your work has to be 100% perfect all the time, or else you feel that sting of failure, or even if a project went 95% impeccably, you obsess over the little part that didn't quite meet your standards, then you are caught in the perfectionist trap. And there are a lot of us, I know, who are in there. So how to shift? Number 1, remember mistakes are what make you grow. And number 2, if you are sweating every single detail, the old saying, done is better than perfect. So get in the game. Messy is a-okay. It means that you're engaged, you're learning, and that's what it's about. And the more you can acknowledge the little wins, take in those little milestones and expect normal setbacks. That's part of it. And also, this is a really good one: be aware when things are beyond your control, because why beat yourself up about something that is beyond your control, right? And then the more relief you will feel. Okay, how many of you can relate to the perfectionist? Next one is the expert. So the expert, they expect that they have to know everything. So when they don't, then the feelings of failure or shame come to pay a visit. And many women in particular won't apply for a new job unless they feel they have all the qualifications, every single one. Or um, maybe you know people, or maybe you are a person who feels like they need multiple certifications, always a new one to get in order to know enough. So if that's your thing, then you fall under that category, the expert. Um, the expert is playing in your brain. So how to shift. Dive in when procrastination comes up and allow yourself to learn on the job. You can learn as you do. You don't have to know it, 100% before you go for something. Next, give yourself permission to ask for help. Not only is this not shameful, it's actually proactive. It's really an effective strategy. And another thing is that if you mentor someone else, not only do you get out of your own head, you also prove to yourself in a real world setting that you know more than enough. So the next one we turn to is the soloist. So how many of you feel like, you have to figure it out yourself to deliver the results? Basically, come through and save the situation. That's more like the characteristics of that soloist. Needing help is seen as a failure and potentially shameful, because in the soloist perception, it's a sure sign of incompetence and weakness. Everything on your shoulders, if that's what's playing in your brain. So how to shift? Number one is find trusted people, friends, colleagues, a counselor, a mentor to talk with who are supportive of your growth. And I said trusted people because you got to feel safe. You got to feel like you can open up to them. Number two is share or delegate areas that are not your sweet spot, because your load will feel lighter. And then instead of being threatened by others, cultivate an attitude of gratitude. Why? It will come back to you. Next is the natural genius. So to the natural genius, competence looks like achieving their goals effortlessly, gracefully, on the first attempt, without breaking a sweat, right? The standard that they hold themselves to is so high. It's that they must be naturally gifted at something. Why? Because they're used to getting it right. They're used to accolades. They're used to drawing on their natural abilities. But if they go out of their comfort zone and succeed and actually don't succeed at something that is new, they tend to disconnect and suffer humiliation and shame. Oh, I feel bad. Why did I put myself in this situation? This is not my thing. This isn't for me, and tend to not try new things. So how to shift? Allow yourself to be someone who can grow their skills. Give yourself permission to do that instead of someone whose capacities are set in stone. Like, I'm good at math. Therefore, I can't be good at drawing or something. I'm not even going to try it, Instead of limiting the areas you will explore for fear that it's not my thing, choose a skill, a hobby, or a sport to develop over time and through practice. So we all know that musicians have to practice to get good at their instrument. Public speaking is like that. You've got to practice. And then focus on finding the gifts in the process rather than identifying your self-worth solely on the results. That is a trap in itself. And finally, we are at Superwoman or Superman. This type determines their level of competence and contentment by how many hats they can wear, how many roles they can handle simultaneously and seamlessly. And if they don't excel in any one of these roles, they've taken on partner, colleague, friend, parent, volunteer, house manager, caretaker. They consider themselves a failure and can feel a sense of shame. You know, feeling heavy, feeling bad, like they've let themselves down, you know. And one clue is that they might get that sense of identity by the fact that they're working longer than others. A downside for sure is that they may sacrifice their hobbies and pleasures because of this skewed perspective that they have to do it all. You know, one article in Fast Company describes them as actually addicted to the validation that comes from working, not the work itself. That's an interesting thought. That's an interesting thought. So, how to shift? If you identify as this type, and I know I'm personally working on it, notice how all the validation is external. This is a key point. It's either through your, you know, work, your colleagues, your boss, your friends, your family. And frankly, that is, let's face it, a disempowered way to live because you're depending on other people to give you that validation. So instead of driving yourself into the ground, this is a gem. Focus on internal validation, where you source your own validation, where you know at your core, at your essence, that you are enough. Whatever you're doing is good enough. And your intentions are right there. And there's only a certain amount of hours in the day, right? And while you're at it, being kind to everyone else, be kind to you. Seriously. Appreciate all that you give to others and save some love and positive energy for yourself too. So from awareness of this tendency, this is the power. You can choose either to take on less or judge yourself less and consider trying both. You know, recognize that you're only one person and try not to deplete your inner resources. And besides, we connect through our vulnerabilities, and being human is actually very endearing. So I hope that you have enjoyed this session and, you know, recognized which one or two or maybe even three pop up for you. And I have something special for you right now. And that is, this is all about confidence. So you can have more confidence in your life. And I want to give you a little gift of how to really dive into this in a bigger way. You can click on the link in the blog for the free download of the confidence chapter from my latest book, Emotional Advantage. It talks about some of these things and way more, and I know you will enjoy it. So, as always, it's so wonderful to be here with you, and I hope you can take one thing from today and put it into action in your life. You deserve it. You deserve that liberation and that opportunity to let go of some of these old beliefs and allow yourself to flow. You're going to benefit, everyone around you will too. So much love as always. Take care of yourself, be kind to one another and yourself, and remember, you have the power to change a life, starting with your own. I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.